What's up, everybody? Dead Girl here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic week so far. Happy Wednesday! Joining me this evening are a pair of musical artists that I have been listening to for many a moons. I like to think of their music best described as a love letter to the goth scene. Joining me this evening is Ed and Gavin from Midnight Syndicate.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. I greatly appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yes. Now, I've got some questions I wanted to ask you guys, so bear with me while we go ahead and get started. So the first question that I have is going to be for Ed. So is it true that you came up with the name for Midnight Syndicate in the mid-90s while you were still in college?
Yes, that is true. It was actually very early on in the 90s. I got my first 4-track recorder in 90, and over that winter break, I took it home, and it was my first time multi-track recording, and I put together some songs that, some instrumental songs using the instruments I had with me at the time, which was an organ, a drum set, and a bass guitar, and a regular acoustic guitar, and took some sound effects, mixed it in there, and that's all it was. It was just a little not demo, but just a few songs that I recorded over that time, and I came up with the name Midnight Syndicate just because I liked the image that it conjured, kind of like this group of people meeting late at night, and the shadowy kind of figures, and so even though I didn't really make Midnight Syndicate my full-time focus until 96, that's where the origins of Midnight Syndicate and the idea of this soundtracks to imaginary films concept came from.
Now what inspired you to start creating the I don't know how to describe it, I guess otherworldly sounds that you guys are now infamous for?
I've always loved instrumental music because I feel like without lyrics, the listener really can determine what they're hearing and imagine these great scenes from the movies in their head or whatever imagery, and so that's always been the driving force for me. I really love instrumental music, and then I really love sound effects and sound design that you'll find in movies and such. I think sound effects can also evoke strong emotions and really pull a listener into something that you're trying to create, whether it's a film or a song or whatever. So I've always loved the merging of those two elements, and so that's like the core of Midnight Syndicate there, the instrumental music and then the sound effects. And then horror has been a part of just about everything I've done creatively for my entire life. I would say there's a few things that I've done that are comedy, very few, but that's a side of me. But virtually everything I've ever done, for as long as I can remember, has either some tie to the Twilight Zone or the paranormal or classic horror, and so the move to make a band that does all this orchestral music that has a horror theme, whole gothic theme, just very, very natural progression, kind of.
Okay. So, Gavin, when did you join up with Ed? When did you step into play here?
I believe it was 1998. I actually knew Ed originally as a customer. We used to work in a retail music store here in the Cleveland area, and he came in looking for equipment and everything, and I kind of helped him out over the years and giving him advice and stuff. And actually, he gave me the original demo tape for the very first Midnight Syndicate, cassette. Back then, it was a cassette, and I was on his evaluation kind of team as far as mixing and also for the compositional side. So I gave feedback on that, and then he did a multimedia show in support of that I went to see, and I really liked a lot of the horror images and elements that he incorporated in that. And I saw a lot of common ground between us. I'd been a fan of Halloween and horror myself for some time. So I approached him after the show. I said, hey, if you're ever looking for a partner to work with and, to do this kind of thing in this lane, please let me know, because I think we could probably do some really cool stuff together. And it was, probably maybe 3 months later, maybe not even that, that he called me up and he says, "Hey, I have this project on the table, this thing called Born of the Night. Would you be interested?" And he told me what it was about, and I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah!" So it was exactly like what I saw, lacking in the kind of atmospheric horror music-scape. I mean, you had movie soundtracks and everything, and of course you had the party compilations with the Monster Mash and all that on them. But there wasn't a lot of just like good atmospheric music to put on, instrumental music that you could just like set a mood to or with, for like a party or whatever. So yeah, then we just started, working on that together, and I guess it kind of developed from there.
Oh, wow. Now I gotta ask, and this is a random offbeat question, what music store did you guys work at?
I used to work at Soja Music.
Okay.
Over on I was on the east side of Cleveland. He actually closed down. The owner closed it down in 2006, and I stuck with it to the end. There, it was very surreal the last day of operations there, because it had kind of become a Cleveland icon. I mean, back in the day, he was like one of two big music stores in the Cleveland area. It was either Soja Music or probably Keyboards and Audio on the west side. So to be able to work there and then to close it down to see kind of it, like it wrap up, it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to work at a music store when I was younger. I worked for Peaches Music and Video, and I was there for many years, and I closed that store down too. And that's why it's always fun when I hear of other people that have worked in that particular retail field, because it's always some fun and interesting stories for sure.
I remember Peaches. I was a customer there more than a few times. Good stuff.
Yeah, I worked at our Fort Lauderdale location, and I will be honest with you, if that store never closed, I would probably still be working there to this day.
Right on.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Now, you guys mentioned that, or Gavin, you had mentioned that you kind of joined in when Born of the Night came out, and that was really my introduction to you guys, and this was back when I did a lot of LARPing and a lot of role-playing, and I was very into Vampire the Masquerade, and it was one of my favorite albums to just listen to as I played. It was just, it's such a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. How did you guys, like, decide where you were going to go with that particular album?
Well, the first, and Gavin mentioned this, the first Midnight Syndicate album, again, I had this idea of doing a band that would create soundtracks to imaginary films, and it would blend this instrumental music and sound effects. That was the concept. But that is a little bit of a far out concept, especially in the mid-90s, especially if you're going to say, this is our band, this is what we're going to do. So I think I had to find the footing. And that was what that first Midnight Syndicate self-titled album was. Taking this concept and seeing, okay, what's this really going to look like? And the problem with the first album, I think, was just that it was too all over the place. A lot of it was horror. There were absolutely songs that would set the groundwork for Midnight Syndicate, going forward. But then there were also elements that were different. There were almost humorous moments intentionally. But what it did is it was just too eclectic, is what I always like to say. So immediately, that end, it was mostly a solo project for me. I had collaborators, but I was the only one. I was the one driving and doing and writing all the music primarily, and I was really looking for another creative partner, and that's why I reached out to Gavin, another person that could share in the writing duties, that I could bounce ideas off of, that but anyway, I think that what I wanted to do after that album was done is really narrow the focus and do what I love to do, and do what I probably do best, which was this. Stick with the horror, keep with the instrumental stylings. And so what I did, so I knew that I wanted to narrow the focus and find a writing partner. So I found Gavin with that. But what I did is, with Born of the Night, is I put together another demo thing on cassette where I took a bunch of music that for this Born of the Night album. And it was a combination of some tracks from the first Midnight Syndicate album, some tracks from a soundtrack to movies that I had scored in college and projects there, and a couple new songs that I had written specifically for this dark horror, all horror themed Midnight Syndicate album, which would be Born of the Night. And I had it on this cassette, and the first person I went out to was Joseph Vargo from Monolith Graphics, who's a very talented artist. and I loved his artwork. We had met a year previous, and I asked if he wanted to be involved from a visual standpoint. His artwork was a great kind of inspirational. You can kind of see how the music, if the music you're creating and arranging matched the images, then you knew you were on track. I always felt so. Anyway, but brought him more on from a visual marketing standpoint, and then I took that same cassette and gave it to Gavin, and said, Gavin, this is what I have for this Born on the Night project, and I think, I'd like to think that that's, partially what brought Gavin on too when he heard, what this album was going to sound like, and so that was half the music for the album. But then Gavin brought the other half to the his own unique spin on this, what we were doing, and that's the music of Born of the Night. Really, just this combination of a culmination of everything, and it really was an exciting album. And the sound of and the voiceovers were Joseph Vargo's idea too. You'll notice on that album, as opposed to our other ones, we do have voiceovers and stuff. That was his. He really liked that element, so that was something that he brought to the table on that as well.
Okay. I do have actually quite a good question coming in from the chat room. Alex is asking, do you guys still have any of those old original demo cassettes?
Oh, yes.
I still have mine locked away.
I do. I keep everything, and I think during COVID, right? Last year we all had a little bit of time to look back, and I definitely did that. I found some time to go through some of those old archives, and if you go to the Midnight Syndicate Facebook page and you scroll through, or even if you go to our YouTube page, the Midnight Syndicate YouTube page, and you look at the playlist rarities, you'll see some of those old tracks. Some of them have never been released, but from those early years, I took a little bit of time last year to put some of those out, because I was going through back, the origins of Midnight Syndicate and like where this all started. So yes, I would like to think that I'm not a pack rat. I try and get rid of things when I need to, but I definitely, if it has an attachment to me or it has something to do with something I created, I definitely hold on to all of that. So yes, I do have cassettes. Long answer to your question.
No.
You just asked if I had sorry about that. I go on forever. The answer is yes.
No, you're okay. Thank you for answering that, and thank you for elaborating and telling us where we could find some of those tracks that weren't released on your YouTube. I had no idea they were there. I'm gonna have to go check those out now.
Yeah, right on.
Now, you had mentioned that obviously you guys are both big horror fans, which leads me to with horror being a big part of, I guess, your life, and I would say influence. What other musical influences do you have for the albums that you guys are creating? Do you have like a specific process that you use? Is there something that you kind of watch or listen to get you in the mood?
Oh man, speaking for myself, I've got quite an eclectic background or preferences when it comes to other music and stuff, and a lot of things creep in. I found to the music that I write with Midnight Syndicate that I'm not even like really consciously aware of. Like, I'm a big fan of traditional Celtic music, have been for years, and that I'll see kind of creeping in with some of the percussion that I'll implement. I was a big fan of New Age back in the 80s, when that was a thing, and like Vangelis and stuff. And I just found like a lot of that music, it just takes you off into like your own world and stuff. And I find a parallel with that and Midnight Syndicate, and I'm also a big fan of progressive rock, and it's the same thing. Bands like the Peter Gabriel Genesis, and more recently like Big Train. It just I find myself kind of just getting lost in the music, and it just it kind of takes you to another world. But I know that Ed and I share some influences too, like some of the heavy metal artists like King Diamond, and it's kind of all over the map. It's surprising. You may not even realize where you're pulling influences from. And then you like listen back and you're like, wait, that sounds like something that such an artist would have done,
Yeah. For me, my favorite band of all time is the Beatles, but then second is Black Sabbath. So I'm sure that I'm pulling influences from them all the time subconsciously. And I would say a lot of for Midnight Syndicate, it's gothic music. Sisters of Mercy, man, I love them so much.
Same.
They impacted me in a huge way. But I do listen to a lot a really long and wide range of music, and I try to pull something from a lot of. I'm listening to such a wide range of music that I try and pull something from those different styles that I listen to when I'm working on Midnight Syndicate stuff. But of course, heavy metal and movie music composers are big for me on that. As far as musical influences go, I think. Were you asking more about like what inspires us outside of music?
I could go either way, inside music, outside of music.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, like you mentioned, like I think when we have a theme for an album, I will definitely immerse myself in horror movies. Just do marathons of horror movies to get into that zone, and that really helps. I also love looking at imagery, like really haunting imagery, classic paintings. Just I can get a lot from that personally as far as inspiration. And then history is just a really wonderful treasure trove of inspiration. The stories and the people and the places and everything like that. Man, I just find myself really inspired by that when I write.
Thanks. Now, I know each album, of course, has its own theme. How do you guys decide, on your next album what that theming is going to be?
I think the theme is one of the first things we end up working out because everything else hinges on that. We kind of have to have that groundwork set first to know what we want to do and what the theme kind of demands as far as the songs and everything. So sometimes we'll come in, to a given album, like already kind of knowing what we want to do. Like Gates of Delirium, we had been working on that idea of doing something in like an asylum. That came up years before, like literally, I think it was right after we were working on Burden of the Night. That idea kind of happened, and then it's like, well, not the right time yet. We'll get there, and we had kind of developed it over a number of years and stuff. But I think the theme always comes first, and then we'll just kind of work off of that and like what that theme suggests to us, collectively and individually,
Carnival and Christmas are two ones that we had early on, like in Born in the Night days. We were like, oh, we got to do a Carnival album sometime, and oh, we got to just do a spooky Christmas album sometime. So like those are the two that really took a long time to get to, but we're in no rush, and we have so many other places yet to go to. So it's like, but those are two albums that, just
Nice.
early on in the concept, and they just finally got around to them. The time was right.
I think we had been asked by our fans and stuff for years about a creepy Christmas album. And hey, you guys got to do this. You guys got to do this. It's like, all right, one of these years, it just never felt like the right time and stuff. And then it finally did, and it's like, okay,
I've got quite a few people chiming in. It's the best Christmas album ever.
Oh, that's so kind. Cool. Thank you very much. That's one of my favorite things we've ever done.
Now, I love the fact that you guys take into consideration what your fans are looking for or what they're wanting. And
absolutely.
I've always found it interesting, and it makes me happy when different musical acts or, directors or writers take that into consideration, because it's ultimately, if you can get a good idea from somebody and you can run with it, it makes it, that much more successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our fans are our lifeblood. They're absolutely phenomenal and awesome, and we can't speak enough about them. They're awesome.
Nice. Now, you guys, your music has played for many moons at professional haunts all over the country. It's been played at haunts like Halloween Horror Nights. You guys actually released an exclusive album last year that was sold out before I even realized it was on sale. So I'm still mad about it, to be honest. And if I could find it, it'd be great. But have you guys thought about maybe doing something like that again in the future?
Well, I will say yes. So Halloween Horror Nights was one of the first haunted houses that we worked with. When Born of the Night came out, we knew that it was really going to be good for haunted houses. Mm-hmm. They just did not have, at that time, there just was not a lot of options for professional haunted houses and amusement parks who were looking for good atmosphere in their haunts. The options just were very limited. And so we knew that we needed to get Born of the Night out to them so they could hear it, and things would just kind of happen from there. And one of those places that we targeted first was Universal Orlando, and went down there and talked to Adrian Lepeltier, who was working down there at the time. Awesome guy. And he really liked Born of the Night. And so since 98, 99, I was 99 probably, 99, they've been using Midnight Syndicate music at Halloween Horror Nights. So in some shape or form. So what we finally decided is maybe there should be a Halloween Horror Nights album. And so what we did was take the music that we tried to determine how the songs that Halloween Horror Nights used most in the last, how much of it? 20 some years. And along with some other music that they made remixes of, and some music that Gavin wrote specifically for Halloween Horror Nights, which is the only time we've ever written anything custom for a haunted attraction. Gavin wrote 2 tracks for the Carnival of Carnage year. So we put that all on this album, and they put it out last year. COVID probably had some impact there with just had its hands and messing things up a little bit. We'll leave it at that. But the thing is, it sold out in 36 hours or so. And so all I can say is that I think it is very, very, very likely that album will be available yet again. And I would think that this year seems like would be wonderful.
I think it would be smart if it became available again this year. And
yes,
I would leave work and go pick it up so that I could have it, because again, I'm still mad about it. I'm not that mad about it, but I'm still like, man.
It's a cool album, and more people need to hear it, and I think that will happen. And it will probably be available online too. So if you don't happen to live near Universal Orlando, you will still be able to access it.
Oh, fantastic. Now, have you guys ever talked with Universal about possibly performing at Horror Nights?
I think the shows that we've been doing at Cedar Point kind of laid the foundation for even being able to do that. That would be fantastic. I think prior to us doing the shows at Cedar Point, it was kind of like we talked about it a lot and kicked ideas around, but we never had a solid plan of what would we do, how would we make this happen. And then we kind of did it, and it's like, okay, now you kind of learn what works, what doesn't work, for various spaces and considerations and stuff. So I think we're in a much better position if that opportunity were to come up to really be able to deliver on that.
Okay. I do have some friends from Universal that watch, so just saying, guys. Make that happen.
Right on.
Now, we also, my husband and I do a home haunt, and we've worked at a couple of different haunted attractions that have also used your music. So, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for allowing haunts all over the place to use your music, obviously, as long as they're giving you guys credit. Which one of you had that idea to say, hey, go ahead and use this? Just give us that shout out, give us that credit. How did that come to be?
I don't even remember exactly how it came up, because Gavin and I worked together. We're so much, one of the cool things about working with Gavin is that we're really on the same page. I think you have to if you're going to be in a band with somebody for 25 years, right? You have to have that. Well, immediately we clicked as soon as we met, and we're just on the same page. So a lot of these ideas that we have just come from our discussions, whether it's an album theme or a song, or even a business strategy and stuff. But this was a pretty easy thing. What happened early on was just that that a lot of haunts were nervous about using the music. A lot of haunts were still just starting at that time, and the business wasn't as it is now, and finances were tight, and people were worried about being sued or stuff, and because it's just becoming bigger money, the industry. And so we said, hey, we have a chance to help out our friends because you become friends with these awesome people that support you, and we said we have an opportunity to help them out. What if we do a registry, and we kind of enter into a little bit of a partnership with them? Hey, we'll let you use the music. If anybody comes to the haunt and asks if you have permission, you can have them contact us. And what we're looking for in return is to hang a poster out by the ticket booth and just say, hey, this haunt features the music of Midnight Syndicate. Maybe somebody hears it in the line and visits the website, and it's just a nice synergy. And so it just felt like the right thing to do, and that's why we did it. And then we just kept doing it every year, and we keep doing it to this day.
Nice. See, that's awesome. Not a lot of not a lot of groups would be open to doing something like that. So it's fantastic that you guys are not only open to it, but are actively, doing that. And of course, it's great cross promotion too, because, and it's very smart to say, yes, use our music, stick our poster up. It'll drive traffic directly back to you guys so that people purchase the albums too.
Yeah, it's all about working together, right? So yeah, it's good. It's cool.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have created a number of albums. Do you have one in particular that may hold a special place in your heart that maybe has a deeper meaning that people might not realize at that surface level?
I think for me, there's probably a couple. The first one is definitely Gates of Delirium. I think the difference in production between Realm of Shadows, which was right before it, and Gates, is probably, it's the biggest difference we've had yet between releases. It was, we really, really embraced and tried to maximize this whole idea of creating a sonic world, like a virtual environment for you to like lose yourself in. And, through incorporating sound effects and everything like that, I think production wise, it's one of the albums that I'm the most proud of. Along those lines too, 13th Hour is another one. I think it's kind of the same thing. We took where we were at and took it up another level. Again, it's like creating this virtual haunted house, this world, and making it as real as possible. I don't know. I think those are probably the two that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah, and kind of spinning off that, I think Carnival Arcane for me is definitely one, because I think we took the elements of blending music and sound design to another level on Carnival Arcane. I felt like that was another step for us musically, and just developing this concept that we do. And it really, when I listen to Carnival Arcane to this day, I really just enjoy it because I can kind of imagine the carnival, like just through the sounds and the music. Mm-hmm. And we did a lot of research into turn of the century carnivals and and used that as inspiration for the sounds and the music that you hear on there. So it's just definitely one of my favorite. And we got Jason Carter to do the voice of the ringmaster in there. He was an actor that worked with us on Dead Matter, but most people know him from like Babylon 5. He was on there for a while, but he has this wonderful voice, this wonderful character voice, and it's so wonderful. I really think that's a big part of that album. And then probably the one that maybe my favorite, I think, is probably the Christmas album. So that's why I was so stoked when somebody out there was saying that it's their favorite Christmas album. Yeah, that's it. I love that album. I really am so happy with how that came together. It's a real Midnight Syndicate Christmas album, and it's not just all taking songs and putting them like in a minor key. It's some of it's darkly beautiful. Sometimes it's not all super dark. There's a little bit of like a haunting beauty to it. At least that's what we were going for, and I like that. It allowed us to spread our wings and try some different things. And I really love that album.
They're all great albums. My husband's personal favorite, he's chiming in down in the chat room, is Carnival Arcane.
All right.
That's one of his favorite. We're actually doing, our neighbors don't know it yet, but we're doing a Twisted Carnival themed haunt this year at our house. So we'll be using that album as our background music as we torture and maim our friends.
Nice.
So we're very excited. We're very, very excited. We have a friend who's a double amputee, and we cut his legs off all the time. And yes, no. Yes. So
wow.
That's funny.
We're that house. So
that's awesome. You keep Halloween alive. Like really, people will remember that for their entire life. They'll remember that house that did that for Halloween, and it's awesome.
I hope so. I love hearing that word. Like, oh, you're that house. Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you are, and that's fantastic. That's awesome.
Now, you guys have come out with a new album. You have Live Shadows that was recently released, and you guys are slowly rolling out videos to them. I know you have a new one that's coming out tomorrow. Actually, right? Is it tomorrow?
Yep, it's tomorrow.
Yay! So why did you guys decide to release a live album?
I think that it gets back to like trying to give the fans what they want and listening to them, and that's what this whole year is about. So many things that we have coming, we can't, unfortunately, for various reasons, we can't disclose at this moment, but I will say this much: 2021 is all about giving the fans what they've been asking for, no matter what that is, because it's a varying thing. Well, a lot of the fans had been, we've been doing all the shows. The Midnight Syndicate live shows started in 2014, but all of the shows have been held at Cedar Point for their Hollow Weekends event. That's in our area, but it's the show logistically, and it's more of a extended. It's not as portable as we would need it to be to take it around to various cities at this moment. That changes every year, because the more we do, the more feasible it is that we can take this to different locations. Long story short, people have been, what this means is that if you don't happen to live in the Ohio area or Michigan area, the chances that you've seen a Midnight Syndicate live show are not very high.
Yeah.
And that's most of the Midnight Syndicate fans around the world. And so we felt like if we do the Live Shadows album, we're going to be able to give everyone a chance to hear what the Midnight Syndicate live shows sound like. And then, just as important, we were going to make these music videos, one for each year, that really show people, what the shows are all about, so they can not only hear but see and just get a taste of what it's like. And so that's why we did this. The first thing that we have released this year. That's why we did it, to hopefully share what we've been working on for the last 5 or 6 years with everybody.
It definitely makes me a little jealous of the folks that have gotten to see you guys perform live. So I'm hoping that one day I can cross that off my bucket list, because that's on there.
We hope so too. Like Gavin said, every year that we've now done 4 shows, and with every year that we've done the show, we've learned more and more. And I think, like Gavin said it best, we're more and more likely now to be able to start to talk about taking this show on the road or to other locations.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. I'll keep my eyes on your Facebook, and you guys are really great with social media and updating and letting everyone know what's going on. So I'm sure I'll keep my eyes and ears open, just like I'm sure the rest of the fans do. How did you guys decide what tracks you were going to feature on the live album? And, how did you guys also decide what you were going to put in the videos? Because I know they're not necessarily straightforward. There's like different clips and things like that within the videos, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, by the way. So thank you for doing that.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Thank you. As far as the tracks that appear on the album goes, this is kind of the inside scoop on that. Those recordings were not initially made with the idea of releasing them commercially. They were more for like our own reference and like rehearsal tapes and stuff. But when we had this idea of like, hey, do we have anything recorded that could be released? Is it, what's the quality like? What do we have here? Do we have enough songs? We found that more of them than not were good. I mean, they were actually good recordings, and of course, you have to play around in the studio a little bit, and add your magic touch and stuff like that, and tweak as you will. But we were able to use, I'd say, the vast majority of what we had recorded. There were only a few that I think either of us would have liked to have used, at some point, but we just couldn't because the recordings weren't up to quality and stuff. But so as far as deciding on them, I mean, there are certain tracks, that we knew, kind of everybody wanted to hear, like the Haunted Nurseries and stuff. But
right.
We also tried to, there's some new material on there. There's some drastically rearranged versions of existing tracks. Like the first video we did for In the Valley of Shadows, the arrangement on that, I personally think I like it better than the studio version. Wow. It's just, there's a lot to it, So yeah, I think it was a combination of what do we have available, what do we feel the strongest about, what sounds the best.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next question is, do you guys have a favorite track off of the Live Shadows album?
Yeah, I'd probably say Valley for me. The quality, like the sonic quality of it, I think is among the best of what we had to work with there.
I do, and it's a surprise track, I think, for most people that would listen to the album. But turning off the lights and listening to Conspiracy of Shadows, it's the last track on the album. It's just total chaos, and I love it. It's not even music, is it? It's not really. It's more sounds, But when we listened to that and said, "Oh, we could put this on there," I was like, I don't think that I have ever heard a song like "Conspiracy of Shadows" on any live album ever made anywhere ever. Like, I can't even for like a. I was thinking, could there something be like that for like a recording of a play or something like that? But I'm thinking, no, probably not that they release on the album, and certainly no bands that I know would do that. So I don't know. Anytime we have the chance to do something completely different and wacky, but that works within our thing, that gives me a rise. I like that. So that's it.
I was going to say, but it always seems to work with you guys.
You're kind. You're too kind.
Yeah, right.
Now, where can folks go to purchase Live Shadows? I know, for example, it's available on Spotify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is our first time. I mean, last time we released an album was 2016, so everything's changed quite a bit. But if you go to the Midnight Syndicate website, you'll see right on the front page an advertisement for Live Shadows. And right there you can see a trailer, a video trailer for it, and also a link that will take you to all the places that you can get Live Shadows. You can get a CD version, you can get a limited edition purple vinyl version, you can check it out on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iTunes, Pandora. All those are listed there, and if you just follow that link on the front page of Midnight Syndicate, it'll take you to whatever you prefer to listen to or download the album.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I knew it was available at a bunch of places, and I was like, I'm going to forget them.
Yeah, you don't even have to anymore. It's like, I like, you'll see. When you go to the thing, just click on that link, and it's a new thing that we haven't done before, but it's just a nice little link tree, and it has all the options available because, yeah, it's changing all the time, these digital music providers and stuff. It's so... Yeah, I don't remember them either, but they're all listed there, so that's good.
Well, I love the fact that even though things have gone, I mean, in this day and age, most stuff has gone very, very digital. I love the fact that you guys are still offering CDs and even vinyl records. So, thank you guys for still continuing to put those out.
Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's all we knew for the first 20 some years of this. It was you release your albums, you put them out, then you ship them to the Halloween stores and the haunted houses and the party stores and stuff, and now now not so much.
It's funny how the formats come back too. I mean, like, I grew up in the era of like vinyl and stuff, and
Yes.
then it went away, and cassettes as well, and now it's like everybody wants vinyl again, and cassettes are kind of coming. Who would have known?
Cassettes, that's the one I don't get.
I don't either.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's annoying to have to, like, I loved cassettes because I made my own mixtapes like we all did, but like
Yeah.
that's something that I don't really need to have a cassette version, but the vinyl I do. I am all in on vinyl. I love it. I love the experience of taking a record and having something very, with a huge artwork and putting it on, and kind of just out of necessity, you usually listen to the album aside because you don't want, and that's something I got away with in this world of digital music. Like, all my music was on playlists that I had created, and it was all like individual MP3s. It was all my favorite songs from my favorite artists, or just artists in general. My favorite one or two songs. Listening to an album on vinyl, you're going to listen to the whole side, and maybe you hear that B-side or that second or third track that you had forgotten about, but when you hear it again, it's kind of cool, and you get a new appreciation for the artist by listening to full albums as opposed to just singles, as I had gotten into.
See, I'm surprised you don't miss taking the old pencil and sticking it in the cassette tape and winding it up,
Yeah, get your Scotch tape to like go over the holes on the top. Yeah.
Every once in a long while, when I worked at the radio station, this was a college station, but I was there for a really long time. Every once in a while, and it wasn't the best thing because the quality wasn't great, we did play cassettes on the air, and I do remember that you had to take the left and turn it a half clockwise, a half a turn on the left one to cue it up so that when you pressed play, it would start smoothly.
Yeah.
Way more information. You weren't even asking about that, but again, I'm riffing right now in my own little world.
No, you're good. I think you just took a lot of us back with that one. Now, you guys have I know you've been at Transworld recently. Do you guys have any other upcoming appearances that you're going to be doing, or are you guys back to doing any types of other conventions or shows or anything fun?
We really don't. You
Yeah.
know, right now, I mean, Ed mentioned this earlier, but I think it's safe to say that 2021 is going to go down as our most productive year ever, ever. I mean, like, just
It is.
we're very focused on everything
Oh
that's
my
kind of
God.
coming up and making sure everything, you know, gets, like, the awareness is out there and such that everybody knows kind of what we're doing and where it's available and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot. This will go down as the busiest year in Midnight Syndicate's history, hands down. Nothing even, no year even comes close. So that's good. That's good for all of our wonderful, amazing fans and supporters, because that means we got stuff for you
Ah.
and things, and we got, you know, and it's just gonna keep coming. It's just gonna keep coming out.
And you know how we all love stuff and things. Those are our favorites.
We do. It's very exciting. It's exciting for us too, because we're happy with how everything has come together, and it's been real nice.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what else you guys have in store for everybody. I'm very excited.
Awesome.
I've got quite a few people commenting that they need stuff.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, we will. It's coming.
I've got a few other people are chiming in the chat room, saying that you guys need to come back to our local horror convention, Spooky Empire.
Oh yeah,
Which-
absolutely. What a great convention that they run down there. I think the it's been recently. It's in the same time that we have had our shows, and that's one of the things that's kept us from coming down there. But no, I definitely want to get back down there for that, because that is a really class act horror convention.
Oh, I hope you guys do. I hope you do. My husband and I attend religiously and do all kinds of things with them, so we would definitely love to see you guys come back down and hang out.
Absolutely.
Now, I always ask, I've got a couple of more questions for you guys, and one of them actually came from the chat from one of our friends from Haunt Scenes asking, do you guys have any type of dream collaborations? That if, in a perfect world, if you could collab with anybody, who would
Great
you collab
question.
with?
Great
Alive
question.
or dead? I'll throw that in there too. Alive or dead.
Oh dang! No, that opens things too much.
All right, fine. They have to be alive then. We'll narrow that down.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, then you got me. Yeah, okay.
okay, I got mine. I'm gonna go with King Diamond.
Ah, okay,
Oh,
Gavin.
Heck yeah, Gavin. Dang, yes. Oh, jeez.
I probably put you on the spot there, didn't I? I stole your answer, Ed.
No, that's a really good one. What, maybe, I guess Black Sabbath. I mean, it would have to be, right? And they're done, but it doesn't matter. They're still alive. Maybe they do a special...
Ozzy's still around.
They're still around. I know it wasn't this their last tour, but, like, no, they're still around. And every time they say they're done, nobody's done ever.
No.
So that's one thing we've learned. People will come back, and these artists will be, like, out for a year or two, and they'll be like, dang, I'm bored, and they'll come back.
Yeah.
So that'd be my dream collaboration. Anybody, even any member of Black Sabbath would do. But that's, I think I would say.
Those are both very, very excellent choices. For sure. King Diamond and Black Sabbath.
King Diamond, like, we tell this story all the time, but, like, the coolest thing, certainly one of the coolest thing that's happened to us, because especially when it happened, because we were just starting off. This was back in was it 2001, Gavin, or 2000 or so?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Somewhere around there, yeah. So Gavin and I are huge King Diamond fans, and we went together to his the show for his House of God tour,
yeah.
and it was down at the Cleveland Agora, and so we're sitting there in the audience waiting for him to go on. We're really stoked, and suddenly we hear "Born of the Night" playing on
Over the speakers.
over the speakers, and we're like, "Oh, that's funny!" And then they play the next song, and then they end up just playing the entire album. We're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So we assumed that because it was the Cleveland Agora, that the sound guy at the Cleveland Agora just pumped it through, like that was the house sound for us, for a horror artist or something,
Yeah.
But then, so we went up to him and go, that's cool, and he goes, oh, we don't pick the music, the artist, the King Diamond does. So it turns out King Diamond and Andy LaRocque had gotten Born of the Night and Realm of Shadows, and we're alternating those albums for the entire tour as the official
As
pre-show music for the whole. So
Wow.
when you go there, he's totally one of our biggest influences. So it's like, talk about a memory you never forget.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that had to be kind of mind blowing, like that moment to be like to learn that like he actually that's what he chose. It wasn't just because the sound guy was like, "This is what they're getting."
Yeah, yeah. At first, I was thinking it was just like a random, maybe it was part of a playlist. Like, oh, cool, they put Born of the Night in the playlist or whatever. Then, yeah, when we kept hearing like songs in sequence, it's like, well, this isn't a coincidence here, you know?
Yeah. We got to meet Andy after the
he was
show.
awesome.
He was awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's a really awesome memory.
Yeah.
And it's funny how things someday come circle almost. You know what I mean? Like here, you guys are big fans. They've influenced you, and now they're playing your music for their pre-shows.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is really cool. Those are the things that you remember, and yeah, the cool things.
When you guys first started, did you ever think that something like that would happen?
No. No, it's funny because the first trade show we went to when Transworld was back in Chicago, we didn't know how the audience, how it was going to be received. We were taking Born of the Night up there, was the first thing we had done, and it's like you kind of go there hoping that it's going to find its audience. Like we felt confident about it, but like you don't know how well other people are going to like it and stuff, and then it started like gaining some legs and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is just really cool. And I think the whole journey has been, one surprise after another. Just when you think you kind of know what's coming next, you really don't.
That's very true. Yep, that's well said. Yeah, and you have to believe when you're starting that you can do it as an artist. You have to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean there's a lot of things that have to come into play. Especially in any industry. But in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, it's really hard. It's always really difficult. And so, I think it's exciting. You can never count on it when you start a project that's going to come together the way you want it to. But this has, and we've been able to stay just focused and work, continued working on it. And here we are now. I guess it's just exciting.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for starting it and continuing to work on it and continue to pump out fantastic sounds and music and just everything. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
So I have 2 more questions for you guys, and I ask these of all of my guests, and it gives me a little bit of insight into you, into what your true fandom is, because everybody's like, I like horror. Okay. So I have to ask both of you guys, and I'll start with Gavin on this one. We'll start with Gavin, and then Ed, you can chime in. What is your favorite horror movie?
It still is the original 1963, The Haunting, the black and white one. I find that the more subtle movies stay with me longer, and that was just amazing from top to bottom. I have the book, The Haunting of Hill House, and I've read that a bunch of times and everything, and it's just good stuff.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Edward, what about you?
I was thinking about this, and I don't know, it's very difficult, but I will say it might be Night of the Living Dead. And there are so many other movies that I love so much. And I watch over and over and over. But the thing about Night of the Living Dead, I think that makes it so special to me, is that it was made not far from where we live here in Cleveland in a very independent way, outside the studio system, and there's a simplicity to some of the shots or some of the things that they did that was wonderful, but it inspired me so much, because whenever I was feeling, down, I reminded myself, hey, there are other filmmakers or other artists that did something amazing right near where you live, and made it happen, and made this classic piece. Just made it happen. They didn't have a huge budget. They just took the money that they had and the talent around them and made the best of it. Maximized it, and created this. And that's very inspiring to me. And that's why it's probably my favorite horror film, because it's not only for the content, but for what it means to me personally, I think.
Those are both very okay. First of all, there's no wrong choices when it comes to horror movies and what you like, because it's everybody's particular taste. But those are 2 very, very wonderful choices. I'm a big fan of both films. I think they're fantastic. So I love I love that you guys like I don't want to say classics, but I guess they really are classics.
Right?
Aren't
Yeah,
they?
they are. They are.
Yes.
And there's been so many great, you could literally, we could sit here and talk, forever about our favorite horror movies. I think we both could. I mean, the list, if we start, you open it up to your top 10 or something, oh man.
Do you have, all
we're
right,
on.
I got you. So then what's your favorite, more current horror film?
Oh.
Let me flip that one a little bit.
Current. I'm going to go with The Others. That was another one that
Is that current enough?
Yeah, we can make that current enough.
Okay, all right. So that opens up. Now that changes my thing. We're not talking. Crud. I remember that. I remember because it's not really super. The Sixth Sense. I'll tell you, when that came out, that really shook me to the core. That was that really. I have a thing with ghosts and stuff, and I think that was that really got me. The Ring.
Yes.
My God, I love that
Now,
movie. I didn't watch the original, so that the first time I saw it was the American version.
Ah, okay.
I watched the American version, and I was just absolutely blown away. Absolutely loved it. I loved all the twists and stuff. But I thought A Quiet Place was pretty good lately. Have you seen that? I have to watch the sequel.
That one I have not. I've heard good things, but I haven't I've gone into this rabbit hole of like horror series. So I just got done watching Black Summer on Netflix. That was really good. The second season just came out, so I binged that yesterday.
Nice.
So I've gone down that rabbit hole, so I've kind of pushed movies to the side and jumped into the series of things. But that is on my list to watch because I've heard nothing but good things about A Quiet Place, and I've heard really good things about the sequel too.
Yeah, I've heard that the sequel's better than the original, so I'm kind of fascinated. I want to check that out. Yeah, that's
okay.
Several people have told me, so that's really good. But I'm just trying to think of a movie I've seen very recently. But honestly, yeah, this year with everything we've been doing, there hasn't been much time to watch, and that's it's a shame. But there'll be downtime.
But it's good though, because you guys you're productive, you're busy, you're doing things. Yeah. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have a question coming in from the chat room. All right, this is the last one I'm taking, boys and girls. Have you guys had any type of otherworldly or ghostly type experiences?
Man. I used to do like amateur level ghost hunting for years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the funny thing is I come from more of a scientific background, so it's a weird dichotomy. Like I'm like the natural skeptic. I'm the one going to the location going like, okay, come on, convince me here. But I don't know, maybe that works, too. Like I'm not inclined to want to make things into something that they're not, I guess,
okay.
But I've captured some strange things on camera. let's just say that. I mean, some, beyond the whole orb thing, I mean, it's just like some more substantial things that I wasn't able to kind of explain away. Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have, we have a old inn in Painesville called Riders Inn, and it's supposedly haunted. And I was going through we got to just walk through it. It was I don't know if they had just closed out. Nobody was in their rooms, but it was open. We just walk around, and I went into this one room and just had a really strange feeling that I don't really. It was remarkable to me, at least, that I felt it. But I didn't think much of it. But then later, I asked about that room, and apparently it was the center of most of the happenings and experiences that people had reported for dozens of years. That all the years. Yeah. So. It was strange though, yeah. So I don't know. That's probably the closest thing that I've had happen. But I just try and keep an open mind, and I'll be honest. The ghost stories, tales of true ghost stories that people share, is such a huge influence for me, musically and just artistically. Mm-hmm. So I've been reading the true ghost story books like from the library for as long as I could remember. I would just get the same books out and read them, and so that's been a big part, I think, of my creative inspiration.
Okay. Thank you guys for that.
Sure.
All right. So our last question is, love this one. What is your favorite Halloween candy? Do you have one, or do you have, and if you've got more than one, we can go top 3 if you want.
The funny thing is, I don't eat candy anymore. I used to as a kid all the time. But I literally, like, I'll have candy in my refrigerator for, like, years, and then I'll just end up throwing it out, which is terrible. But it's really sad. My favorite candies are probably not Halloween related. I don't think you're going to get like chocolate covered cherries and like chocolate covered creams in your Halloween bag. But those are probably, among the tops. I guess for me. I don't know. I'm probably not very Halloween in that regard.
They're still good.
Reese's Payday and that Take 5 is crazy good.
Ah, nice. All of those are good choices.
Reese's and Payday, those, man, but then like Take 5. I mean, are you going to give me chocolate peanut butter and pretzels? What? Come on.
It's literally all of the good things
and
wrapped into one.
Too. That's right. I'm like, yes. So I mean, yeah, I got. That's where I'm at.
So what you're saying is, if folks want to get on your good side, they need to bring you those candies or those chocolate covered cherries, and that's it.
Right on.
It's a good start, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining me this evening. I appreciate it. Hang out for a minute. Don't go away just yet. I want to kind of share with the folks some of the stuff that we've got going on here coming up.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
We have a meetup on this Sunday, which is, I want to say, the 27th, with our friends over at Haunt Scene. We're going to be meeting up at a Coffee Shop of Horrors locations, Jonesy's Escape in Tavares, Florida. We're going to be out there hanging out starting at 1 o'clock p.m. Come hang out with us. We're doing some raffles. For every $10 you spend, you get a raffle ticket. We've got some great prizes from merch from 13X Studios to tickets to some of our local haunts. So make sure that you guys pop out, support a local business, come hang out with us. It's going to be a great time. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I want to thank Ed and Gavin for coming on and for chatting with us this evening. Make sure you check out their Live Shadows album. Make sure that you're following them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the social medias. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, make sure you keep it spooky. Bye.